What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to be doing a 2-round with trades mock draft. It's going to be split up into 2 different days. Round 1 today, round 2 tomorrow. It helps me out during the final schedule, so I love y'all for supporting me while doing that. Let's get some more subscribers in here. We just breached 7,800K today. So let's get up to 8K, 9K, 10K. You guys know how to count. Let's get right into this. Let's have some fun here. Starting off with the first overall selection. I'm not going to waste any time here. This is going to be Bryce Young. And for those of y'all who are new here, this is all live. I don't like to pre-record this shit because it's kind of fun for me to be able to do this live with you guys. You guys get to see my thought process, and you guys get to point out where I messed up. So definitely do that. Keep your eyes out for it. Don't be a dick about it. I try to make good content for you guys, and you guys pointing out where maybe I slip up here and slip up there helps me make sure I don't do it again. So help me out with that one. At pick number 2, now, I am going to introduce something special here. We're going to test it out. I am going to go after a Trey Lance trade. And absolutely, it is not costing this number 2 overall selection. But I want to be able to get you guys in that mindset when I don't take a quarterback at this spot or I don't take one with the Houston Texans. I think this will be probably, I'm going to be really ballsy and say we're going to have to overpay for this selection. And not for this selection, but we're going to trade with the San Francisco 49ers for Trey Lance. And maybe we got some teams, I could definitely see a team like the Minnesota Vikings being like, yo, let me get in on some of that. And it's like, no, sorry, B. So we'll see. But I think the San Francisco 49ers are certainly going to value selections. And, Trey Lance, he is on the market. There are guys who are fielding calls for it, and I don't think it's a bad idea at all. See, the thing is, I think it could cost an early second-round selection, and it might just be driven up because it's a very thin quarterback class, and maybe we're going to move back with the Texans, by the way. So we're going to recoup this draft capital. Don't you worry. We are going to be able to move back and still be able to take guys who are very, very valuable. So we're going to do this because I think that Ryans might be open to the idea of spending an early second on a QB who has high potential. I just don't think Trey Lance is going to garner a first-round pick. And I'm being very, very, very conservative on how high of a selection I am doing here. And, a lot of people think it might just be, a third, like 2 third-round picks. I'm going to be ballsy and just say maybe the Niners are saying, hey, I want to be able to get that number 33 selection. So who cares? We'll toss in a compensation pick. Whoop-de-fucking-do. So that's exactly what happened. Now we have our quarterback. I think at this point, you could go Will Anderson and just absolutely rock out with your cock out. I think that's fine. However, I might want to move back. And, there are teams that are looking for guys like CJ Stroud. And there are teams that could be willing to move up into that spot. CJ did, to be fair, score very low on the S2 test. So I don't know if any team's actually going to be that crazy about moving up to this selection. And looking at the price, the teams I think that would be willing to pay the price to move up, it's the Colts. I think it's also going to be the Titans. Both of them are in the same division. That doesn't make much sense. Now, I think that it would be a smart move if you don't believe in the QBs to do that. But I think at the end of the day, you're going to go after Will Anderson here. You got your quarterback for a fairly solid price. I said I was going to move back and recap picks. I know. I apologize for that. That was just something that went through my mind. I just can't find a team that's willing to move up to this selection. And so we are going to be going after Will Anderson Jr. here. At pick number 3, this is where I'm going to have a team move up. That is going to be the Titans. I do think that they are done with their quarterback regime. And the new regime coming in is going to say, hey, we want our guy. And this is a quarterback class with 4 dudes at the top. And we already have the right tackle from Ohio State, which he was the left tackle. But, Nicholas T. Ferrer, he's going to be moving. He is already there at right tackle. So we're going to pair him back up with C.J. Stroud. And I think it's just a smart move for both sides because I do think it's realistic for the Titans here. I personally am not super high on this QB class. I love a lot of the players in it, but I think what it will take to get this selection, it will definitely be 2 firsts, but I don't think the Titans are really going to be that eager to give up that much draft capital in this year. So I feel like they could be trying to lean more for next year, if you're trying to make a move up for a QB, you're going to want to surround him with talent rather than kind of leave him out as like a fish out of water. So this is exactly what we are going to do. Feel free to fight me on the trade value, but I'm not tossing in that second round pick. That's the ultimate thing, and I just cannot see the Titans doing that much to do that. So they move up. They have made calls for the number 3 overall selection as well as the number 1 already. Would not be too surprised if they just rang up their in-division buddies and said, hey, what's the cost? But regardless, I am going to use this selection on CJ Stroud. So I think that he's more that polished passer, could work really well in their system. It could be Will Levis. The betting odds say that Will Anderson's the number 1, Will Levis is the number 2 for the Texans. So they could just say, hey, we're going to be happy with him later on. But at pick number 4, if Will Levis is the Texans' number 2 overall betting favorite quarterback, I would not be surprised to see him go above Anthony Richardson. I think Ballard, it's not super selfish to go after Will Levis. I don't think he's that bad of a quarterback. I think he'd be a solid starter quarterback in the NFL. And I think this is exactly the route they're going to go. Complete transparency there. But I think Will Levis is going to be more that day one impact. I think he might be a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. There's a lot of plays of his that remind me of the impact of Kenny Pickett when I watched him at Pittsburgh. Just one of those guys where you can really trust him to distribute the ball. And in the situations where I felt he needed to have right placement, he did. Now he needs to work on the consistency on those plays he doesn't need to, but there are just some of those moments that are jaw-dropping, and that could certainly vault him to that position. Now, at this point, I know this is going to be totally split with the fan base. Let's go Jalen Carter or let's go Anthony Richardson. And I'm just going to clarify this right now. And I'm probably going to go Anthony Richardson. I think Jalen Carter's a great player. I think if you go that route, absolutely zero wrong with it. Zero. It's an amazing pick. But you have to think of this team not just this year, but for the future. I highly doubt this team will ever, and I mean ever, be at this spot again. In the top 5? Well, okay, ever again. Yeah, you guys know it's hyperbolic. But you guys won't be here for the near future. If Geno continues to play at the way Geno does, you guys are going to be consistently at the 18, 19, 20. And you guys don't want to have to trade for a quarterback from another team that maybe isn't good enough to be able to be a bona fide quarterback on another team. So you guys are going to be in that middling range, if not better. And, Geno just doesn't have that upside at his age. He could, but you saw the contract. It's broken down as a 1-year deal, and then you could void it after that. They're building up for Anthony Richardson, and based on everything I've been hearing, there was a Theo Ash video I did with him on the channel. You guys can check that out. He says he's super duper confident based on the amount of meetings and the length of them that the Seahawks have had with Anthony Richardson. They're going to lean that way, and I could be completely wrong. However, I'm going to blend my own realism in here, and if I'm sitting there, I'm willing to take a shot. I have Geno Smith, who's going to be a great talent. I have a lot of picks with not too many needs. I'm perfectly fine taking a luxury pick at a spot that I'm probably never going to be able to pick at least with, if the regime is going to be picking here, they might be getting gutted. So Pete is probably going to be there for another 3-ish years. And if Anthony Richardson can step up year 2, that's a great way to end Pete's career. Pick number 6. So Jalen Carter's on the board. And I might want to get a little frisky by getting a team to move up for him. Tyree Wilson is just so tough to let go. I love Tyree Wilson. Some people think that he might be the better prospect in some teams' eyes than Will Anderson. I love Tyree Wilson. You guys see my board below my face. He is a top 10 player now on my board. He is a very special talent. You see that arm length. You see that run stuffing ability. You see the athleticism. And the only reason he couldn't test is because he had a damn foot injury. So that does suck, but the tape definitely proves that he's chasing down running backs from behind at 270 pounds, and his arm length, ridiculous. He has everything that you're looking for, and he is definitely not hitting his ceiling just yet. Very raw, and he still puts up the numbers. I think this would be an excellent addition. I know Pascal's on the squad, but Pascal's just kind of more of a pure defensive interior. I would think Tyree Wilson could be something truly special. Jalen Carter needs to be at least addressed at this spot. I just don't think Dan Campbell is going to go after blue chip talent over blue chip work ethic. And that sounds like a stupid idea, but it's not like they're totally separate things. Jalen Carter has legitimate issues with his personality in terms of their concerns. There's a lot of teams. Otherwise, I mean, he'd be going right here at 2, right there at 3. I can guarantee you, if it were checked off, teams would not be saying, "Hey, our pick's on the board," or "Our pick's up for a trade." Jalen Carter does have legitimate concerns, and I feel like Dan Campbell is so heavy on the idea of having great chemistry that he's willing to pass on a blue chip talent for somebody who's 90% blue chip and maybe 100% blue chip work mentality. So Tyree Wilson, I think, has that. He's going to be a special player. You could definitely go a corner here as well. I might trade up to get a corner because I do think that they're quite thin in this class. But Tyree Wilson is going to be my selection here. Pick number 7 for the Raiders. I highly doubt that Jalen Carter will kind of slip past this point. They've had meetings with Jalen Carter. I know that if he does have personality, especially maturity concerns, Vegas might not be the best spot. But we have seen Belichickian regimes go after guys with some personality concerns. Christian Barmore, defensive interior, for example, he was known as uncoachable. And this is from a direct source in the league that I trust very much. Uncoachable. And, just didn't really want to put in the work. Sounds a lot like Jalen Carter. They did that before. I think they could do it again. But you can trade back and still get a top-tier defensive back and acquire more picks. This team is not exactly in the right place to take a pure luxury player. And I want to test out not going Jalen Carter for once. I always do it. And I think there's going to be a team that's very aggressive. And lo and behold, they pop up right here. The Philadelphia Eagles. You guys are not getting 2 first by being able to move up there. But I do think the Eagles could be in a move or in a spot to move up with maybe some of these picks. I want to look at what the Raiders have. They have a lot of picks this year. I think this is a perfect spot for the Eagles to leverage their future picks. So I just wanted to see which way they were calculating the percentage chance of acceptance here. So I think that the Eagles could certainly be open to doing something like this. They just don't have enough picks this draft. They might be willing to get rid of one of their free draft capital spots, and I think the New Orleans pick is going to be more of a high second round or a mid second round selection. So that might have a little bit more value to them going forward. Might toss in a future 5th. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever it is. So we're going to force that through. Toss in a player if you'd like, but I'm going to have the Eagles moving up for Jalen Carter. Pick number 8. So that's like a big kick in the gut because Tyree Wilson, Jalen Carter, those are kind of the dudes who I love the most for the Falcons at this selection. But I'm going to follow those betting odds. And I'm just going to try to go this route. And, it is what it is. I love me some Nolan Smith. I highly doubt that he's deserving of the number 8 selection since they just brought in Paris Campbell as well as maybe, Bud Dupree as well. They could be looking to get a developmental dude like Lucas Van Ness, train him under those guys. I'd prefer to wait and go maybe after somebody like Isaiah McGuire in maybe round number 3. That'd be a great idea to train him. If you want Nolan Smith, you're going to go after him. He is one of the betting odds favorites for the pick, and it's definitely something you're keeping the guy in Georgia, incredible work ethic, and you're getting some extra pass rush help. I don't think that is going to steer away from reality there. So yes, as you guys can see, I like to blend in both realism as well as overall, I like to blend in realism and my little taste there. Pick number 9 for the Bears. I'm debating doing a trade at this selection, and I think I am going to. The Steelers, unfortunately, were trying to move up for Jalen Carter. I was trying to have them move up for Joey Porter Jr. As a matter of fact, I am not going to negotiate a trade here. We can't do trade palooza. And the Bears are looking for a right tackle. There's 2 starters in this class. There's Darnell Wright and there's DeJuan Jones. That's it. You're looking at the letter T and you're saying, oh my God, Paris Johnson's so much better. Peter Skoronski's so much better. I think Peter Skoronski is better. He's probably going to be more of an interior offensive lineman, but he's also a pure left tackle. And then you guys can see, based on my board, I have Paris Johnson there at 17. Might move him to 16. They're right there, neck and neck. But Darnell's a right, Paris is a left. I think that the Bears are going to try to fill in the role that they need, not the kind of player that might be the best, which I still think Darnell Wright is the best. So we're going to be going Darnell Wright here. Again, super duper thin class at right tackle. So it's going to be able to push demand a little bit higher because the supply is so low. But Darnell is a damn good tackle. He's a really good player. and he's been able to go toe-to-toe, not teo-teo like on Bama, but speaking of Bama, against Will Anderson Jr., this guy was locked down. Extremely athletic, really talented, good arm length, overall a very talented player at a position that is very slim in terms of the quality of players there, but also provides the quality that you're looking for in a starter. I love Darnell Wright, glad to see him there in Chicago, and he's just super athletic. You saw what Hendon Hooker could do with his legs. He's not shy from being able to block for a quarterback with some good mobility. Pick number 10. To me, it's going to be Devon Witherspoon here. Christian Gonzalez is on the board, as well as Joey Porter Jr. I love the idea of Devon Witherspoon in a Belichickian style of regime. I keep using that word, but you guys know what I'm talking about, like a front office that is from the Belichick tree. And like, I love the idea of him slipping to the Patriots. I can't do it. I'm not going to let that happen. Devon Witherspoon is the selection. At pick number 11, Christian Gonzalez might be the move that I go, but I think that the Cardinals, with their system, with Gannon, I think their system might be better off going after a cornerback here in Joey Porter Jr., who I honestly think was my dream pick for the Eagles before they re-signed all their dudes. Joey Porter Jr. is a special player to me. You guys see, he's number 2 on my board. Big fan of him, and I'll scroll down so you guys can see a little bit more. Pick number 12. Having a hard time not going Peter Skoronski at this selection. I might want to move back and reacquire some extra draft capital because I don't think we need Peter Skoronski. We can get the leftovers of Quentin Johnston and Jackson Smith and Jigba, and I'd honestly be fine. I'd honestly be fine with Zay Flowers if we trade back and be able to get that value as well. So I want to see something that is of little value or of slim value, and you have Peter Skoronski as well as a star offensive tackle in Paris Johnson here. I think that's totally worth moving back for. You could end up seeing a team move up for a corner because there are 2 left, and I'm seeing 1, 2, 3 teams that could be really hungry for it. Texans honestly could move back here. If we're going to project, I could definitely see 1 wide receiver going here, but not 2. And I think I might be leaning that route. We might be doing that because, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to make a trade with the one team that actually really needs to move up here, and that's the Detroit Lions. They have a plethora of picks at their hands, so I do think that this is realistic. This range does require a second-round selection, and I don't know if the Lions could get out of it with pick 55, but we'll test it out. This has a 99% chance of being accepted. That's because it's too damn cheap. So that's 73% chance of getting accepted. That means it's closer to the value. We could also technically, we could toss it in. We could hack it like that, which is technically possible. I don't think the Lions need that many selections, but for me, I'm not going to totally destroy your draft by doing that. I'm going to just toss in the earlier second round pick. I don't think tossing in a future third to move up a couple slots necessarily worth it. So the Detroit Lions move up to this selection and draft Christian Gonzalez. Tyree Wilson, Christian Gonzalez is a very nice duo. Pick number 13. So this is going to be an offensive tackle. It's going to be Paris Johnson. Don't think I need to explain myself too much there. Peter Skoronski is probably going to be this selection for me. Other guys of note, I mean, you could look at guys like Anton Harrison, Broderick Jones in here. They have the tackles filled up for a year, but it's pretty obvious that they need a little bit of help. Corner Deontay Banks. I mean, they could just absolutely deplete the corners on the board. And we saw it last year that the corners in the first round did very well. The corners are standing out. We could see a new push in the value of cornerback. NFL's kind of it's a league of, momentum. It's a league of bandwagons. And we saw some very high skilled defensive backs go in last year's class. So we could see that the trend is saying go defensive back. And I'm going to go on that trend. Deontay Banks, I think there's a significant drop off in the cornerback talent after Deontay Banks. And I love me some Emmanuel Forbes, but bro is sub 170. I mean, that's really tough to play at the NFL. However, at pick number 15, the Packers are going to do the right thing and go Jackson Smith and Jigba. I just have this weird feeling that they're going to do the right thing. And we did negotiate a trade with the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is now their quarterback, so Jets fans, you can rejoice on that too. Costed the 42nd overall pick, and I think a future second. But that could just be haggled between you fans in the comment section. Jack Smith and Jigba is the perfect complement to Christian Watson. Not many receivers in this class that could offer that. Versus last year, Christian Watson did provide that build, that speed. George Pickens was there in round 2. So there were options if they wanted to delay wide receiver, and they did a good job on getting Christian Watson last year. This year, no option like that. Pick number 16. I'm going to be going Peter Skoronski here. Sorry to my beloved Steelers fans. That would have been a killer pick for us, but Peter Skoronski is now going to be playing interior offensive line for a studded group and protecting Sam Howell. Pick number 17. Honestly, I'm thinking of moving back here. I don't really, you have Bijan on the board. I could see a team try to be a little bit aggressive and grab the top running back on the board before a team maybe like the Buccaneers could try to poach one. We'll see about that when the time comes. Other players of note, Quentin Johnston is here. You could see a team like Baltimore get a little bit aggressive, but, us Steelers fans, screw you, Baltimore. Y'all screwed us enough every single year, so it's kind of nice to have a little bit of a W here and there. However, we could see a team, even like the Vikings, try to make an aggressive push to be able to get a star receiver. It's tough, but I think the only one that is going to get enough traction is going to be Bijan Robinson, and there are teams in this range that I think would take him. I'm going to move up with the Chargers because I think you're going to want to invest in Herbert, and the best way to do it is to keep him healthy. And having a superstar running back is going to be a very nice way to do that. I think it will cost a third-round selection, and I think the Steelers are going to be a perfect team to take a quick move back. We could end up drafting a linebacker with that third-round selection, maybe a safety as well. There are some safeties that are there in the third round. But the Chargers are here, and I'm moving up to be able to select a star running back in Bijan Robinson. You could end up pushing running back off later and go wide receiver with Quentin Johnston here. That's logical, but a lot of teams might feel a little uncomfortable with that. I'm going to be going after the Bijan route for this team. Pick number 18. Yes, the Chargers do not need to jump the Texans. I didn't do it for that. Other teams probably would have tried to get Bijan. I can guarantee you the Vikings, another team that could have made a push for Bijan. At pick number 18, though, this is going to be Quentin Johnston. Getting a big wide receiver in there, never a bad thing. And we traded back, so we got great value. So Trey Lance, Quentin Johnston, Will Anderson, I think that is a killer draft to start off. Pick number 19. So we have the Buccaneers here. This is a tough one, a very tough position to be in, but I think that they will be going for an offensive tackle, and I think Broderick Jones will have a little bit more hype. He's more versatile, so he'll probably be going to the Buccaneers. You're just going to want to continue building up your forces until you kind of tank and get a nice QB next year. Pick number 20. So we went after Anthony Richardson, which I can already hear it. Myles Murphy is going to be probably my selection here. And the thought process is that you guys want a nice run defender. People are putting Lucas Van Ness to this team. Myles Murphy is scheduled to be there later on, but I don't know. I don't really fully believe in the betting odds. There was an increase in the probability he'd be there, but I already know I'd send him to the Ravens. I'd send him to the Jaguars. I'd be sending him to multiple teams. So I'm going to be going Myles Murphy here to add to that defensive front. You want Tyree Wilson, you get someone who I have higher than Tyree Wilson here at pick number 20. My former number 1 player in the draft. He kind of chilled out a little bit on his momentum. But the Steelers at this point, I think that I have to go after the last offensive tackles that are available. And right tackle, I think DeJuan Jones might be more the favorite, but I think having a guy who's played a game at right tackle starting out the year for when Wanya Morris couldn't, as well as playing left tackle, is going to be a little bit more valuable. The Steelers go Anton Harrison here at pick 21 and pick up an extra third-round pick. Pick number 22. I think Lucas Van Ness is going to be the selection. You lost Calais Campbell. That's a big part of your defense, and Lucas Van Ness fits hand in glove. So it does just make sense at this point. I don't think any corners are worth it. Pick number 23. This is a team I could totally see trying to trade back. And there are some teams that are looking for a star safety. One of those is the Eagles. So I could see the Eagles try to move up for Brian Branch. we moved up for, well, they don't have enough picks to move up, but imagine Jalen Carter and Brian Branch. That would be pretty damn awesome. But other teams, the Bengals could be trying to move up for a safety. I could see the Steelers. They just traded back. They can use those picks to move back up. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. And using one of our second round picks to get up here, I don't think that's a really awful decision at all. And we could end up getting a top tier linebacker at that spot. God only knows. And I think that the Vikings do need to acquire a little bit more draft capital. I don't see all the wide receivers going by this point anyway, and they can get a defensive interior. I think this is a smart move for the Vikings, and I think the Steelers, since we just acquired an extra selection, are going to be a little bit more ballsy with this one. So we are going to offer pick 32. Oh, this is going to piss off Steelers fans. I'm going to hold back on that. I don't think I can send 2 seconds to move up. God, that would be so fun, though. This is what happens when you do shit live. Man, I'm so dying to do that pick. I think that man, DeJuan Jones is here, though. Hold on. There's some teams that need a right tackle. I could see a team like the Bills trying to overpay or the Chiefs trying to overpay. I think the Chiefs are actually going to make a splash in their own home city. They're going to send actually their first 2 selections to the Minnesota Vikings to move up. And you guys can negotiate the other picks outside of the second round. The Chiefs then are going to address right tackle with DeJuan Jones. You're also disarming the rest of the teams that you're going to be facing in the playoffs from potentially doing that. So it's a good move overall. Pick number 24. Brian Branch is going to be the runaway favorite for me for this pick. I think going after a star defensive back that could be a slot or a safety is going to be a nice addition to this team. So we're going to be going after Brian Branch at this pick. Wish he could have fallen here to 25, but he did not. So at 25, Zay Flowers is probably too good to pass on. You could see a linebacker slip into here, but there's been some good free agency moves there. We're going to be going after Zay Flowers. Pick number 26 for the Cowboys. Now, I'm starting to say this is Steelers trade-up territory for Jordan Addison. I just do believe that they would be intrigued with getting that option, but they don't necessarily need to. Mozzie Smith might be a really fun addition for this team. Very athletic, high upside. But Dalton Kincaid makes a lot of sense too. There's some good routes that this Dallas team can go, and I think they're trying to win now. And if Dalton Kincaid is fully healthy, I think he moves the needle the most for the team based on the guys who are left on the board. Pick number 27. I'm going to be going after a linebacker at this pick and debate whether it's Diane Henley, Jack Campbell, Drew Sanders, Trenton Simpson. There's a clear top 4 in this class, and I'm going to be going after Jack Campbell, who is 6'5", 250 pounds, good run defender, really good commander of that defense as well. I think he should be the runaway favorite pick for him. I think he might go before this because it's a thin linebacker class, and nobody is good at that size in this class, but really good in zone coverage as well. Perfect Tremaine Edmonds replacement. Pick number 28. If I am seeing that Michael Mayer is here, it's hard to pass on him. I think Irv Smith is just not built to be a true tight end one. No disrespect to him, but Michael Mayer has a blocking aspect to him as well that might be really, really good for also getting the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands and potentially protecting him if they want to have max protection. Pick number 29, I am going to be going defensive interior at this pick. Y'all know what's up. Brian Breezy is going to be the selection. The Eagles, it's probably going to be Kancey. I'm just full transparency. It's going to be Kancey. So, let's go. Thank goodness. Thank God I checked, by the way. Jalen Carter was the earlier selection. Ain't no way in hell we're going to be going after Kalijah Kancey. But I do think Howie likes to acquire extra day 3 picks. And there's a team that sees Jordan Addison right on the board. So the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, look at this. We got pick number 85. There's no way in hell I'm just doing this straight up. 20% chance. Yeah, obviously. We just depleted the hell out of the Eagles. We'll give pick 120. It has a 90% chance of being accepted. I think that's perfectly fine. Could toss in a future 6 as well. We're going to move up. Sorry, Eagles fans. It could be the 5th year cost or the 5th year price tag of a first round pick might drive it up a little bit more. But Jordan Addison is going, that's so tough. I think they actually might go that route, though. I really want to go linebacker for this team. I'm going to go Jordan Addison. I know we just brought in Allen Robinson. To be fair, God only knows if he's going to start. It cost us $5 million. Whoop-de-doo. But this league is built on those quarterback and wide receiver connections from college. You see it with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. I think that the Steelers are certainly going to be going after Kenny Pickett's number one man, who was the wide receiver of the country. The Biletnikoff Award winner, Jordan Addison, when he was there at Pittsburgh. Pick number 31. I'm thinking Kalijah Kancey might be the right pick for this team. Could go for the big meat in Mozzie Smith for the squad as well. Corners might be starting to come into question here, but I'm going to go after Kalijah Kancey because you just can't teach that gap penetration. So let me know what you guys think. Stay tuned for round number 2 tomorrow. Thank you guys again. See you guys on the far side. Peace.